Hey everyone, this is Sean. Just so that you can see me, I just turned on the light. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to handle a panic alarm. And then I want to discuss some of the issues here. Excuse me. As you can see, I'm on my way to the range. We're in range red, as you can see. Day 3 of our range operations. Anyhow, so yesterday I responded to a panic alarm at the EDD, the Employment Development Department. This is a place in California where you can get resources to find work. So a panic alarm went off, and I noticed that there was an armed security officer there, and there was about 40 people outside. I thought it was just kind of strange. Well, first off, if you're in armed security, stop wearing your holster on your back, like the small of your back. I saw this armed guard, very polite and very helpful, but there should be no reason why your holster is like almost touching the small of your back. That doesn't make any sense. And then he was wearing one of those, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Uncle Mike, but it's one of those old school Uncle Mike holsters that he had. I think this person was more of a liability than an asset. If you really look at the circumstance, somebody can actually disarm this guy and take out all of the assets at the EDD office. It just doesn't make any sense why you'd carry your weapon there. Anyhow, so in armed security context, will you be responding to panic alarms? If you respond to burglary alarms already in a patrol response capacity, there's a decent likelihood that you will also respond to panic alarms. I'll tell you this, in my career in law enforcement, in private security, I have never experienced a real panic alarm where there's an actual armed robbery. It's always petty theft, sometimes some misdemeanor. Sometimes people accidentally press the button, not realizing that it was a panic alarm, but that's the extent. So most of them are false. That doesn't mean that we need to assume that they're false. I'm just saying that most of the time they're not. They're not real alarms. Excuse me. So you could possibly, especially if you're on an alarm route. I worked private security in the Orange County area, and that's what we did. We did alarm responses and patrol response. It was fun. It was exciting, and I highly encourage anybody that wants to have a more broad experience in private security to do patrol. It's fun. I honestly don't think that private security should be responding to panic alarms. I mean, not as the initial responder. I think that they should start heading that way, certainly, and then from a good vantage point, assess the situation. What I mean by assess the vantage point, I mean maybe like from 100 feet away, as far as possible, but so close that you can see what's going on. Just observe the activity. And if you get there before law enforcement, just observe what is going on. Like, look at everyone's face. Is it an everyday? Are these customers? Do they appear like they're doing ordinary transactions? Is there any panic? You're not going to expect, or you might not see people like running out during a real robbery, but you'll see panic on their faces. If people are entering the business, maybe they're exiting, and then you don't see really much of a difference in their behavior, then you probably have a false alarm. I honestly do not think that armed security should be doing these panic alarms. Now, maybe if you have a partner, and I'll talk about that. If you have a partner, I would say, you know what? I see the utility of it because these businesses will get fined a considerable amount if it is a false alarm. And it also depends sometimes on whether there's a second, third, or the fourth false alarm. So I could see, okay, a two-person officer team going in, but it depends on the business. Now, when we went in with it was 4 officers, and this was a tactical nightmare. You have literally like 50, maybe even 60 cubicles, and you basically needed like a four-man SWAT team to check. Now I'm exaggerating a little bit, but what you need is about 14 officers to make that situation safe. If there was an armed intruder in there, hiding in one of their cubicles, you're gonna need about 14 people. 14. In private security, we don't roll with 14-man teams, unless maybe you're in South Africa. But in America, I don't see a lot of security companies having 14-man teams to clear an alarm. That's a panic. That's panic related. I don't see that. Having said that in mind, that is just more of a reason not to clear an office or a building for a panic alarm. And I know that many of you might be saying, well, you know what? It always goes off, and it's always a false alarm. But it's that fraction of a percentage of times that this is going to be the real thing. And let me ask you guys this. So if you're armed security, you decide to approach, right? And this is truly an armed robbery going on. You have people inside of the bank, and then they see you. What is going to happen? You don't have to answer in the comment section box, but just in your mind, what would you think can happen? They see you. There's people inside the business. You're going to create a potential hostage situation. First off, this person probably thinks that you're law enforcement. And they know that law enforcement travels in packs. If there's one, there's probably 3. So they know that if they exit this facility, that they're going to be greeted by law enforcement. So sometimes what they end up doing is taking a hostage and thinking that by taking a hostage, they can make a safe passageway out. Truly, the best tactic is, as soon as they see law enforcement, is just to pull out the back door, or just start running away, fleeing the scene, not taking hostages. That almost never works out for the bad guys. But that's a situation that you are essentially causing this person to create. Are you liable for that? Probably. Excuse me. My goal is to testify as as a private security industry expert. I already testified as an expert for a private investigation standards. If somebody asks me, is this a standard response that security goes close to the door to see what's going on, I would probably say no. That's not a standard response. Industry standards would require that person, that security officer, to stand by from a safe location and observe and report to law enforcement. You might think that you have a firearm and you are tactically sound and you can deal with the whole situation. Maybe you can, but remember, you don't have eyes on the back of your head and on your sides. You may have taken Randy's class, his one-man CQB class, close quarter combat class, Randy from GVPS, but that training does not push you to clearing a building by yourself. especially when it's a false alarm. Now, if there's an active shooter situation, yes, his training is beneficial, and we would suggest that you stop the threat if that is part of your contract. That's part of your duties as a security officer. We would encourage you to do that. But if this is a panic alarm, obviously Randy's not here, but he would encourage you not to go clear the building on your own. I would argue that he would probably say don't clear the building even if you have 3 security officers, unless there's an emergency and you're trained. All right, guys and gals, so that's all I got. Looking forward to the feedback, and you guys take care. Oh my goodness, I forgot to acknowledge who is here. Hold on, guys. Almost up to the range here. We have, hey, TB's here. So what's up? Welcome. Mike from the Professional Security Journals here. He says, I don't even CCW at SOB. What is SOB? Good way to get your world rocked and permanently fluff up your spine back. That's the reason I was taught keep the rear of my belt clear. Yes. Hey guys, there is a message that I can't review because somebody said something that they can. Justin is here, but I can't even view his message because he said something that YouTube doesn't like. Guys, if you curse, and then you put like an FU and then like an asterisk symbol and then a K, it gets flagged. So just watch what you say. It's not my rules. It's YouTube's rules. All right, guys, I'm out.